Hi everyone, I'm back with a book review, and as you know I read everything from trash to, in this case, Milkman by Anna Burns, the 2018 Man Booker Prize winner. And this book has sparked a bit of a controversy in reading circles, especially in England, because people started to say, what is the role of a prize like the Booker? Is it to force the what literature can mean and to push it into a new creative direction, or is it to just celebrate good writing and to get a lot of people to read? The reason is this is an incredibly challenging book. I loved it. I thought it was outstanding, but I don't think I'm going to be recommending it to people. You would have to be someone who's very well versed in reading literature. It is, once I describe the narrative structure, you will see why it could be quite confronting to people. And that is because the book is in a lot of ways like a Joycean first-person perspective, 350 pages, stream of consciousness of an 18-year-old girl who is not named, the city's not named, but it's pretty obvious that she's coming of age in a suburb of Belfast in the 70s, in which the Troubles are on. And if you're not aware historically, the Troubles are when the IRA are fighting for at least religious freedom, if not control of their own government from the English. And if you think of that world, that is a suburb within a city within a country, which are all under different types of control, whether it be patriarchal, whether it be government, religious control, whether you're Protestant, whether you're Catholic. At every level there is control over people, and especially over an 18-year-old girl. And this 18-year-old girl is a little bit different. No one is named in this book, so she's known as Middle Sister. And what she loves to do is to just walk around and read. And she walks and reads, which is a bit odd. And she reads 18th century literature, pretty much, and which is also kind of weird. So this is a very odd person who's observing a very odd situation. And the reason why it's called Milkman is we learn very quickly that she has become the focus of a very high up IRA, very dangerous person who seems to groom young girls, and he has chosen her as his target, and that then has a ripple effect through her family and everyone around her, because these are very dangerous times. People can disappear, and also people can be hurt just because they misinterpret something you say. And the thing I liked about this book is, not knowing really anything about that world, is what she's facing when you think about it is, it's a world where there's these numerous rules. Like there's even a committee in this book which they talk about, which you go to when you've had a baby, to make sure that the name you've picked for the baby isn't too English, because then you might be seen as traitor and not Irish. So it's a world where there's all these really complicated rules, but no one explains what the rules are till you break the rules. It's a very dangerous world, both existentially and, in her case, for her sexuality and for just the people that she loves. So this is a really good book. It's incredibly challenging. What I like about it is that at every point, so I've just explained how buttoned down everything is. One of the things the book explains and goes through is how you can't do that. The society will bubble up. And so at every point where there's buttoned down society, then all the women get together and they will stand up for other women and for stupidity of the men, and they'll fight back. There's one very decent guy who's called Real Milkman, and he fights back and says this is stupid and does other things. So at every point there's people fighting back, and you just can't subjugate a group of people like that. The other thing I really found interesting was no one is named. So everyone is third brother-in-law, real milkman, nearly boyfriend. And what she's trying to do there, I think, is relational geometry. And that is that in a society like this, what your individual identity is and what your name is probably inconsequential, because what you need to depend on when you can't trust anyone is your familial relationships. So what's most important is that is your first sister, or that is your third brother-in-law or second brother-in-law, fourth brother, because that's how you work out who you can trust. And that is also how other people work out whether they can talk to you or trust you. It's really interesting stuff. When you think about what is the role of literature, literature is designed to give the reader an insight into the protagonist or the author's head, and then you empathize with that. It's an empathy machine. This book is probably the best book I've ever read, which explained to me how it must feel to be a woman in society. And you know, when people use the term microaggressions, and I'll be the first to go, look, come on, toughen up. As a 54-year-old white guy who's never had any issues with anything. This is the first book I read where I went, wow, I really get that. Because the first part, when she's picked by Milkman, and this has all happened in the first 20 pages or so, he actually doesn't do anything. He just turns up. He just has a conversation with her. There's no violence. There's no sexual impropriety. But she is under no illusions that she's been marked out as his property, and that she has to be extremely careful from that point on, that if she makes a wrong move, he might take out revenge on her family or the boyfriend or whatever. And I think if this book, if you're exploring the Me Too movement or what it is to be a feminist in 2018 through the lens of the 70s, this book is really, really good. What else did I want to say? I think I've talked about most of it. It's just very, very good. The language is brilliant. I mean, there's some really, you finish reading and you feel like you grew up in Belfast. I mean, it's that good. But as I said, I don't think this is for everyone. Now, wow, you couldn't have more of a gear shift as I go to my next book, which will not be for everyone. And that is Son of Cain by Peter Vronsky. Now, Peter Vronsky is well-known true crime writer. And the reason I picked this up was it's a history of serial killers from the Stone Age to the present. Now, everyone who loves books and movies always has a fascination with serial killers, Silence of the Lambs. We all read Mind Hunters when it first came out. And now the Netflix show got me thinking about serial killers again. And this book came out. And I thought, that's an interesting, it's very different to just, I don't think I'd want to pick up a book just on Ted Bundy, for instance. I think that'd be a bit too much. But this, covering the whole of history, that grabbed my attention. So this is what I'm going to be reading, and I'll review this next time. Now, if you like what I'm doing, hit the like, subscribe, please, gets the word out, and hit the little bell, and then you always know when I got new stuff up, which is pretty much weekly. And I'm on Twitter at Guru Eden. I'll talk to you then. Bye.